Hello and welcome to another May Arts video. Latrice here, and today I want to share with you a fun project that I actually kind of saw on Pinterest, and so I'm customizing it to fit my house and my family. It is actually a menu board created from a thrifted frame that I found. The frame is actually drying because I spray painted it. But I want to go ahead and get started and show you a few other steps of this project, and then we will come back to the actual picture frame. Sorry if you hear kids in the background. It's summertime here and all three of my kids are here playing with toys and all kinds of craziness. But first off, I want to show you some of the stuff that I am using. I've got the vintage picture frame, and then I've got some fabric just from my own fabric stash. I've been using a lot more teal and pink and yellow and white, kind of more for summer, but just to add more color to my house. Then I've got some cork. It's just rolled cork that I'm going to be putting this fabric onto. And then, since it's Graphic 45 week, I've got some fun things from them. I've got the Craft Reflections paper pack from them. And this is the paper pack. It's got music notes, some fun collage pages, but I adore Craft. This is one of my favorite ones. It's got a nice floral print. I love that one. And then some teacups. It's, you know, Graphic 45 has a little bit more vintage feel, but I really love anything Craft pretty much. Alright, so then next, the menu board has two small boxes that will hold all of my little slips that have all of our different meals on it. So I've created this little box, and what I did, we buy lots of sidewalk chalk. So this is just my dollar store box of sidewalk chalk, and I've already marked this box so that I have two boxes that are the same size. And what I did is I just cut right across this box. I'm going to start it in the corner here and then cut down to that mark to get me started. And then I just cut across and then covered it in some pattern paper. And also for these boxes, I didn't want any chance of them to fall apart. So I used some packing tape, some nice strong sturdy packing tape, to tape up the seam here so that there is no chance of it opening. So I'm going to cut across this line here and then cut across the back and then cut across the side there. And then I can even this out if I need to. But I think I actually did pretty good there. Alright, so then what I did is I cut some strips of the pattern paper. I'm using the letters and numbers just because it's for my family, and some of the papers were more vintage than what I have around my house. I'm using my Glue Glider Pro to add a little bit of adhesive here for the bottom, because the bottoms you'll be able to see the bottom. So I'm going to cover the bottom, use my super sharp scissors here to trim that off, and trim this off. I love reusing boxes, and this was I have so many of these boxes sitting around my house. I hate to throw them out, so I actually have a bin that I just keep it all in. Alright, so now I've cut this piece of paper to fit the height of the box, and I'm just going to add some adhesive on here. Now you could use a spray adhesive or a liquid adhesive, but I'm just doing what is quick pretty much. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and line the bottom up here. Give that a nice little press. And then I'm just going to fold my box to the side. And then fold it to the side there. Wrap this part around. And then I will finish it off by adding a little bit more adhesive here, trimming it off, and folding that close. So now we have our box, and I would just need to trim off a little bit. But now I've got my 2 boxes ready to hold my little recipes. So how am I going to keep these on the board? Well, I love these command strips by 3M. So each box is just going to get one little command strip on the back. And you know what? It's a little long. I think I got the wrong size here. These come in different sizes, but I usually buy the medium, and if I need to, I just trim it off just like that, because I don't want the bottom to be showing. Alright, so when that's up on my board, you can't see the command strip. Alright, so the same thing for this one. Let's go ahead and trim that off a little bit. Line it up on the back. Alright, so now I've got my 2 little boxes that are ready to go, which I will show you how I add those later. And then my next thing is I'm going to have a day of the week. So each day of the week is going to have a clip, and then it will hold whatever the menu is for that day. So I've got some of the Graphic 45 pieces here that I want to use on these just wooden paper clips. You can get these anywhere. So I've got the fun butterflies. These are the awesome. It comes in 2 sizes, the metal butterflies that I'm going to attach directly to my paper clip, and then I'm going to embellish it with this brad. But what I've done is, you can see the back, I've actually gone ahead and just with some pliers pulled off the brad, because since it's not going into paper, I want it to sit flat. So I've gone ahead and just pulled the brad off. And what we're going to be doing is, let me zoom you in just a little bit, is adding the butterfly, and then I'm going to add a brad right in the middle. Alright, so I'm going to use 3 of those, but since there's 7 days of the week, the butterflies will alternate, and then these will be on the side of the frame. Alright, so we are going to go ahead and do that, and I'm just going to use, sorry about the shadow there, I'm just going to use some glossy accents. And then I will let it sit for a little bit so that it can dry. Alright, so, and I'm going to put it right at this seam. Let me snip this so I can get it started. Alright, here we go. And the glossy accents will hold it nice and tight. So I'm going to put a nice glob there. I'm going to slide it over a little bit, put that on, and I want that to bubble up in the middle. And then I'm going to place my little like doorknob brad right in there. And I'm going to let that dry, and it's going to be just perfect. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and do the other 3. Then I will get my picture frame and everything else ready, and then I'll be right back. Thanks. Alright, so now we're back, and we're letting our little butterfly clips dry that we created just using some of the Graphic 45 metal butterflies and the little metal kind of doorknob brads. And next we want to work on the picture frame part. So here's my picture frame. Now I've gone ahead and given this 2 coats of spray paint in a matching color, and this is just a frame. It was an empty frame that I found at an antique store for like, I don't even know, maybe $1. It was super cheap, and so it doesn't have a frame or anything, and then it's got just nails to hold in the backing, like if I wanted to replace it. So I'm just using some pliers here to raise these nails, just so I can slide in my backing piece that I'm going to create next. Alright, so let's slide that to the side, and what I've already done is I always keep like if I order things online, it always comes with like this chipboard stuff for paper to keep it stiff. I've gone ahead and I've cut my piece of fabric to fit, and then I've got my cork cut also. So I've got cork that is adhesive on the back, and the reason I'm using the cork is just to give it a little soft cushion in case I want to use some shallow pins or anything like that in it to pin up something. So let me roll that a little bit. Alright, so I'm going to peel off the backing of the cork here. And I am just going to place this right on here, onto my chipboard piece. And then I can trim off any excess if I need to. So I'm going to flip that over and then let that go smooth. Alright, so there's that. And then what I'm going to do with my fabric, I am just going to pull the edges tight, and using my Tim Holtz Tiny Attacher, I'm going to staple all the way around the edge. Now the edge is going to be covered up by the frame, so I'm going to go right along the edge. And it's kind of like upholstering. If you've ever upholstered anything, you just want to make sure that you've got it tight before you move on to the next side. So there, I've got that. And then we will do this side. And just pulling it tight gets rid of any wrinkles, pretty much. Sorry about my shadow that keeps going across. Alright, so there we have our backing board, and it's got a little bit of cushion to it, which is nice. So then what we want to do with our frame here is just go ahead and slide that under those nails. And this should bend enough so that, let me flip this around, so that I can get these in here without a problem. Alright, so there we go, and I'm just going to use this to go ahead and push those back down so that it will hold my backing in place. Alright, so now this is what we have so far. So I already know that my clips are going to go on this side, but I'm going to go ahead and attach my little menu boxes here. Let me zoom you out just a little bit so you can see. Alright, along here there will be maybe a name or something, and then I'm going to add some ribbon, and then the boxes will go here. So as soon as these butterflies are completely dry, we will move on to adding some trims. Of course, I'm going to be using some May Arts lace and some of the white and pink pleated ribbons. Alright, so we will be right back to do that. Thanks. Alright, so we are back and we're ready to attach our paper clips. What I'm going to use to do that is my hot glue gun. I've got it heating up over here. But first, before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and embellish my second box. This box will hold the recipe cards that will be clipped into one of these 7 clips, which represent the days of the week. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead. All I did was I used my tape runner, just my normal adhesive runner, to attach this lace first, and then I added that pink pleated ribbon on top. So let me zoom you in just a little bit here so you can see me do this. Scoot that out of the way. So I literally just added it all the way around the edge. And this is the Permatac adhesive. Like, it should hold it really well. You could use a liquid adhesive if you wanted to, but I'm doing it, I want it to be quick. So then I just placed my lace there, gave it a little press, and then I rolled it all the way around. And I'm not worried that I can see the adhesive a little bit there because it's going to get covered up with the pink pleated ribbon. So then I just trim that off, and then we can move on to the pink pleated ribbon. And I did the same thing. I just added a little bit of adhesive on the top here. This one was a little bit harder to stick. You could use, Glue Arts also makes a ribbon adhesive that is like a strip. So that one might work a little bit better for you. Alright, so let me grab my pink pleated ribbon here. And I just placed it right along the top. And the pleats will flatten out once you press it down. Alright, so let me get a little bit more on here. And it might be easier to just add the adhesive to the back of the pleat also. Like that. And then I can just trim off my excess. Just give it a little press. Then we'll do this side. Wrap that around. Give it a little press and then trim this off. Alright, so our second box is done. So I'm going to remove the back of that 3M adhesive. And then to give it a little bit more security, I actually went ahead and added a little bit of glossy accents to this. I don't plan on removing these, but so I'm going to add the glossy accents just to really hold it in place. Now, the reason I went ahead and did this, you could have used some other kind of adhesive, but I may want to change the boxes. So I actually can just un-Velcro the 3M adhesive, and then whatever new box I create, I can just attach to the backing. So this part will stay on the frame, but if I ever want to change my boxes, I can just remove that part. So I'm going to go ahead and put that right down, give it a little press, and then this one I actually put on earlier, so it's not going anywhere. Alright, so now my heat gun should be nice and heated up, and I just placed these, I just wanted to place these evenly along the side of the frame. So I just kind of give it a measurement there. And then they're actually going to sit up on the edge here. So let me scooch this over just a tiny bit so we can see it. So they're going to sit right up on this edge here. So I just want to give it a little dab of adhesive, and I'm going to measure it by, I'm going to put my adhesive right along the back side of this portion, I believe. Now I'm wondering if I should. Yeah, I'm going to put it right behind the little coil. So I'm going to give it a nice little dot of glue there. And then I'm just making sure I've got my measurement right. And I'm going to place that right there. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the rest. Alright, so now you can see that we've got the clips along the side, and those will hold our little menu cards. Alright, so now what we want to do next is add some sort of title or something up here. So I've already gone ahead and gotten some letters out that I know I want to add. So it will say Murphy Menu. But what I need to do is, I know I already placed this in the back, but I'm going to actually slide this back out so that I can add a little bit more ribbon. I thought it needed just a little bit more ribbon to separate the menu cards from where the title is. So I'm going to go ahead and pop these screws back up a little bit. Right, there we go. Alright, we'll move that to the side just so it can dry a little bit more as that glue dries. And then, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to flip this over so that I can see it a little bit better. And I'm actually use my hot glue gun again for this one. And I want to place these letters along the top. So this is going to say Murphy Menu. And I'm placing them just with my ruler right now. And I may go back and add a little glossy accents behind each of those letters, just so that they don't go anywhere. So then let's go ahead and do menu. So now I've got those on there. And you can adjust those or move those if you need to. So that says Murphy Menu. And then I want to add some of this white ribbon right across the top here. And then I will finish it off. So I'm going to add it with hot glue. So I just want to get a nice little strip of glue along the back. And then I can just flip this over and add it to my menu board. Again, you could use a liquid adhesive on this, but the hot glue dries faster, so I'm just going to go ahead and use that. And then we will finish it off with a little glue in the back just to secure it. And then do this side. Then I'm going to trim off that little extra that I've got. Alright, so now I've got my menu board ready. I can pop this back in the frame. Alright, so there you have the menu board. And I will add my menu cards, and then you guys can see what that looks like at below the video with some pictures. Thanks so much for watching my video. And I just want to say it's been great to be on the May Arts design team, and I'm really excited to see what the new girls will be creating in the next year or so. But please keep visiting me at my blog. I will continue to use May Arts ribbon because it's the best stuff out there, and sharing ideas with you. I really love doing that. So have a great day, and don't forget to hop along and see what everybody else has created for our Graphic 45 and May Arts blog week. Thanks. Bye.